Good morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching the thing. So I've come up with a plan to try to help me stay on track with stuff and get some projects done. I'm going to put in 2 hours a day in the morning in one of the different rabbit barns. We've got rabbits in 3 different places. So I've got projects and things that I want to do all the time and things to get done, and I just rush through and get the trays emptied and on I go to the next thing. So now I'm going to put 2 hours in. I'll clean trays if they need cleaned. I'll work on other projects in that barn that need done. So one of them here in what we call the pavilion that I wanted to do, we'd gotten some new to us cages and I wanted to get them set up in here. I had a cage over here that was, the bottom was horrible in. It had resting mats zip tied across some holes and things to keep the rabbits from falling through. But I needed to be able to move rabbits around to get it out and just be on track to do it. So I got in here and I cleaned up a lot of garbage and started with that. Believe it or not, I cleaned up a lot of garbage. And then I got these cages in here and set up so they're ready to take rabbits. I was able to move the rabbits that were in the cage I needed to take out into a few other holes. But now I'm on track to get some wire cut and replace some bottoms. We'll take a look at that cage. So there are a number of cages here that need repaired. These came in that lot of stuff that we got. They're 18 by 30s. And you can see bad spot in the wire up there. It's gone plumb through. So before they go into service, I wanted to get the bottoms repaired. This is the 24 by 24 that was in there. It had a couple problems. The bottom run down here that supports the entire thing was collapsing and I couldn't get the tray out. And then a number of these bottoms, I don't know if you can see this one in here, it's completely broke all the way through. This one in here has a hole all the way through it back here, so it needs repaired badly. I've got a number of other ones that need repaired. So these pre-made cages that people buy typically come with galvanized before welded wire. It's thinner, lighter galvanizing on it. It's a lighter weight, so it's easier to transport and work with. It's less expensive, also doesn't last as long. So you know, you get a pretty good life out of them anyway, but then when those bottoms start going, that's the end. So I've got a number of these here. There's another 24 by 24 over there with big holes in it. So I get my wire set up to cut so I can cut a lot at a time. The roll of bottom wire is very heavy, so it's a pain to get it up where I need it and onto the bench. But I did build a rack that slides into my table here and holds it. I will get some tape on these so it doesn't jump off. So I've had that happen before. But this wire that we're using is 1/2 by 1 14 gauge, 24 inches wide, galvanized after welded. It's 100 feet long. So that is just a heavier gauge wire. So my cull buyer buys large lots of wire so that he can sell it at his cost to his rabbit breeders, so they don't have to waste a lot of money on cages and can build more cages so they can grow in more rabbits. You know, it's a great idea and a really nice thing that he does. But one of the things, because this wire is so expensive, we buy seconds a lot. So you have to keep an eye on the seconds. Like here, there's a run missing out of the wire. Now it's on the end, it's not a big deal. But here, we're missing the end wire all the way across. So there's going to be nowhere to hook that in the 24. So I will spool this out until I get it cleared of that. And then I'll cut it off and start making my others. And then I'll do something different with these pieces that, you know, aren't a full 24. I need those 18 by 30s. I can cut those out of it. My resting shelves that are in my cages, they're 12 by 24. I can cut some of those out of them. I can even make those 11 by 24, and rabbits won't know the difference. So if you're buying seconds to save some money, you're going to work around some things. Now, I've had some that hardly had any issues, but this one looks like it's got a pretty bad end quite a ways around it. But I need enough that it won't matter. So when I get this all spooled out, I'll get a screw down at this end that I hook it on, and then I can measure off the end of the table. And I have this jig I set up so that the red mark is right where I want to cut if I'm cutting 24s. If I'm cutting 18s, I move it down to where that's at 18, and then I drag the wire across it, and I just run my nibblers down through here and cut it off. And I can cut a lot of wire pretty darn quick this way. Before I forget to mention it, I don't know if we can see real well in here, there's a piece of wire that I run part way through it and twist it off. If you don't do that, when this whole roll starts to unspool, you'll never get it pulled back together again. So I'll run it till I run into this wire, and then I'll put another one in a little tighter and just keep going so that my spool never runs away from me. So I'll show you how these nibblers work, how I'll get this all set up. They're pretty handy. They're like 60 bucks at Harbor Freight. Screw fell out of them, so I got an Allen wrench holding them together. So they don't work as well as they do with the screws in there. One jaw is just a little loose, but they cut pretty well. Don't forget, when you're calculating the wire you need to build cages, that it matters whether your ½ inch goes lengthwise or whether your ½ inch goes widthwise, because every time you make a cut, you're going to lose that piece in the middle, that ½ inch. If the wire went the other direction, it would work and function just the same, but you're going to lose an inch every time you cut it. Same with your side wire. If you get inch by 2 inch, you'll lose an inch every time you make a cut. If you get 2 inch by 1 inch, you're going to lose 2 inches every time you make a cut. So it can, you know, just depend on your calculations. If you find the wire at a good price and you're going to run it, that's great. Just understand you're going to use a little more if you've got it going the other direction. So that's how quick you can cut a piece of wire with those cutters.